Hello everybody, Sanir, engineer, MBA, and investor. And in today's video, we are talking about the price of CRISPR Therapeutics and Vertex therapy that just got approved just over a week ago by the FDA. And of course, this decision was followed after 8 December 2023 when the FDA permitted Casgevy to be permitted in the US to treat a potential of 100,000 Americans. And of course, this program is based on CRISPR-Cas9. It is the first time ever that the FDA is approving a CRISPR-based therapy on humans to go commercial. So this happened on December 8th of this year. So like I said, just over a week ago. And, I made a couple of videos here and there about it since then. And of course, I was on the road here. I just got back from Mexico here for a work event basically, and I didn't have a chance to make some of the videos. And this morning I said, you know what, I gotta talk about something. I gotta talk about the price. And I think the reason why I want to talk about the price is because I want to talk about something that I think a lot of people are either not really educated on, or people are basically amplifying something without really looking at the other side of things, right? So first, I want to take a look at CNBC's article. There's also a Reuters article about this that goes really in details, but I haven't talked about a CNBC article in a while, so I said, you know what, let's bring them up. It is mainstream. I would argue it is the most famous website when it comes to the stock market, especially in the big tech space. But US approved first gene editing treatment, Casgevy, for sickle cell disease. The US FDA has approved Casgevy, the first genome editing treatment marketed in the country. Casgevy uses Nobel-winning technology CRISPR to treat sickle disease, a blood disorder that affects about 100,000 Americans. Vertex and CRISPR Therapeutics co-developed a one-time treatment that will cost $2.2 million per patient. Okay, so this is the number, guys. $2.2 million per patient. That's the wholesale price. I was just watching this interview here between Vertex CEO Rashma. I'm not gonna pronounce her last name because I can't pronounce it. But there's an interview here, great interview, by the way. I highly recommend you guys to watch it. It's just under 3 minutes. But she talks about the fact that it is a cure, right? And she says how she hesitates to call things cures, but for this particular program, you just gotta go see the patients, right? Sickle cell disease, guys, is a serious disease. It's not just a little pimple that you have, a little thing that you live on with for the rest of your life. This is the big thing, right? This is something that people have VOCs. VOCs are extremely expensive. They're constant and they're resourceful, right? So not all hospitals and regions have those types of treatment for patients with sickle cell disease. And sickle cell disease, actually, she expressed that the symptoms a lot of patients feel, other than the fact that the lifespan median age is 50 years old. So you got to think about this, right? You look at a country like Canada, the lifespan is about almost 80 years old. So you basically pass away 30 years younger than the average population with sickle cell disease. But the most important part here is that you live those 50 years, for example, in pain, right? She talks about it like having a truck that comes up and down on you at a given moment. This is across all your life, right, with sickle cell disease. And in this space, it's just not been, innovative enough by the big pharma companies. Companies have stalled on it, like we talked about this last week. But sickle cell disease was known over 100 years ago. In the 90s, they did something, not a cure, for sure not a cure. It was just something to maybe help sickle cell disease patients to sort of, live with that pain. But it was not a cure, right? So basically, over 100 years, we just didn't have a cure, right? And this is the first time ever that we have something. And it just happens that Bluebird also has something with it, which is my next topic here. So Bluebird, they have their own program, right? It's gene therapy. It's not genome editing. It's not the same thing, guys. Don't get tricked here, okay? I know the FDA looked at those two programs at the same time, approved them at the same time, and you would think that it's, the FDA sort of bundled that together and they said, okay, this is all the same technology. It is not. These are two separate technologies. CRISPR-Cas9 is a one-time treatment using CRISPR technology. You take the stem cells out of the body, you edit it precisely in the lab, you inject it back in the human body with the respective human body, I may say. And of course, the data has been amazing, right? There has been no relapse or majority of relapse in terms of data, right? Over 97%, I think it was the data we looked at, 97% of patients basically were VOCs free within a given time period, right? That's significant. You can't ignore that. You know, you have to use the word cure at that point, right? Bluebird is different. It's a different story, right? First of all, Bluebird had a black box warning. You guys gotta remember this. Bluebird had a black box warning by the FDA. And again, I'm not trying to, you know, give Bluebird a bad light here. I'm just trying to explain to viewers why CRISPR-Cas9, there's nothing like that in the market today. Bluebird got a black box warning by the FDA. What does that mean? That's basically the strongest warning that the FDA can give. And basically, you know, to summarize this, and the reason why they gave it is because Bluebird had 2 patients that basically passed away because of cancer. They had some sort of, a form of leukemia here. And this was given during the trial, right? So, again, not all patients, of course, Bluebird had in their program had cancer, but those 2 patients were question mark, right? For a while, people were questioning if this program would ever live using Bluebird's technology, which is a gene therapy form. And basically, at that point, the FDA said, look, we like you, Bluebird. We know what you're doing in a sense that you want to tackle a rare blood disorder that no other company is tackling in the space, at least the approved one. And now you see, you know, CRISPR-Cas9 doing it. They're not going to be dosing more than 1,000 patients in a couple of years, period. And we have 100,000 of them. So we're going to permit you guys to go through this. We know you're doing some sort of treatment with chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is, of course, a causation of cancer. We know that. But look, we're going to prove you guys, but we are giving you a black box warning. If anything goes wrong in the next 15 years, we have the right to basically ban your program. So basically what they're getting at, the FDA is basically telling Bluebird, look, you guys passed the test here, the exam, but you marginally pass it. And we're making sure that if something goes wrong, you will be on the hook for it. We're not letting you guys off the hook. So I think that's fair. I think, again, if there were a bunch of treatments available, I don't think this program would ever get enabled. I would argue even CRISPR-Cas9 would take even more time at that point. But, you know, there's no program available to cure these types of diseases. So Bluebird got the green light for now. And the most important part I want to talk is Bluebird has a $3.1 million patient. So we just took a look at CRISPR-Cas9 using $2.2 million. Bluebird's charging $2.1 million, $900 million more, almost $1 billion more. That's a lot of money, guys. almost $1 million more, not billion, sorry. My mistake there. That's a lot of money, guys. You guys can remember, right? A lot of treatments. I know some of us live in universal healthcare. They're expensive. Don't get me wrong. They're expensive. But to say $1 million more, your program really has to be superior. Like I don't see a world where you just charge $1 million more for something that is below average or average in terms of treatment. And I think that's what's happening here with Bluebird. And the reason why it's 3.1 million is because they have to justify their R&D. They have to justify everything they went through, all these hold up. They've been there for years as well. And of course, their form of gene therapy is not genome editing. There's a different type of form where there's chemotherapy involved. There's a bunch of things, and these are expensive, right? And that's why it's 3.1 million. And I'm going to end this video with going back to CRISPR Therapeutics at that point, right? Look, I just showed you guys the bold facts. My opinion is CRISPR-Cas9 is, of course, a superior technology. Should Bluebird have gotten their FDA approved? I think that's debatable. We put that aside. We go back to CRISPR-Cas9 here. 2.2 million. Is that a lot? First of all, I want to remind viewers, governments have to be involved. Insurance companies have to be involved because there's no way patients with, rare blood disorders are going to be able to pay these. Maybe some will, but not the majority of them. In fact, if you take a look at statistically, a lot of patients with blood disorders are actually from minorities, right? And we all know the data in social wealth classes, the minorities don't often have the most wealth, right? And again, I'm generalizing here statistically. So that's one thing. The second thing I want to remind viewers is if you actually look at before this treatment, right? Before CRISPR-Cas9, how things were being done, VOCs, hospital visits and everything. Someone compiled the numbers because you got to compare it with something, right? You can't just say, oh, 2.2 is a lot. you gotta say, okay, well, how much was it to treat patients? Again, not a cure, just to help them survive with this disease up until basically 50 years old. What is the cost it took? And I think a lot of people did that math, and it went about over $3 million per people. So in a sense, this is a huge discount, because not only you're saving a lot of money compared to the alternative, which is not a cure, but the most obvious thing, secondly, is that you're actually curing the patient. Curing the patient that, you know, in the past would live up to around 50 years old, now can live 70, 80 years old. So now they have 20, 30, 40 more years of productivity for society. And that's also ignoring the fact that during their lifespan, now they won't feel like a truck going up and down on them. So in my educated opinion, 2.2 million is an absolutely great price for CRISPR-Cas9 therapy. It's a great price for governments to invest in. It's a great price for patients here, for insurance companies, for all the reasons I just stated, right? And again, we can't sleep on the fact that this is all about the patient. And like I said, governments have to be involved. Don't get me wrong, I'm not asking for people to take out their wallet. That is not the message here. The message here is the government, instead of investing in programs that is not a cure, instead of investing in programs that are basically just helping the patient survive barely, marginally, I think investing in these types of programs is a huge win. And I think the FDA totally agreed with that. That's exactly why they approved it. And now CRISPR Therapeutics and Vertex will be, you know, basically profiting from this program for good reasons. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. That's capitalism. You do something that no other companies have done. You do something while other companies have stayed away from it. You should have the rewards for it. That is technology 101. That is innovation. That is creativity. So I'll end this video like this, guys. As always, subscribe if you're not, like this video if you found value, and let me know, guys, what do you guys think about this video? $2.2 million per patient. Let me know, guys. I'll go over your comments in the next days, guys. Thank you so much for the comments, guys. Keep them coming. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.